OpenAI recently had their dev day and they had some interesting announcements. You might have already heard that you can talk to ChatGPT these days, but now you can also talk to ChatGPT using the API. There's a new real-time API for more of those like voice chatbot use cases, and they're also going to be introducing their voice functionality in their regular API. What's kind of cool is that the real-time API actually supports function calling as well, so your like conversation that you're having with a bot can go out and actually do things for you. Next up is fine-tuning for vision. Essentially, you can now fine-tune GPT-4o with vision type datasets. As a quick reminder, fine-tuning is when you give an existing model some more data and examples so that it can do better on specific tasks. So OpenAI actually highlights this use case from Automat. Essentially, they're using the model to detect on a UI where certain buttons are. Now, I'm not entirely sure if throwing a model the size of GPT-4o is necessarily the most efficient thing to do in this particular use case, but what would I know? Curious what you all think. Next up is prompt caching in the API. Now, we talked about how Anthropic released prompt caching, I think around a month ago, and essentially what this means is if you're doing any kind of repetitive types of prompts and you're continuously giving the API similar types of information, if you do caching, you can actually save money because you're not going to process the entire prompt every single time you call the API. Now, what's cool about the OpenAI implementation is that it does the prompt caching automatically for you. And importantly, if you have repetitive content, and it has to be at the beginning of the prompt, and then you can add like changes at the end. So this is a really good graphic that kind of covers that. And then finally, OpenAI also introduced some tools around model distillation. So in model distillation, you're basically having a bigger model generate outputs that train a smaller model. So they built some tooling to support this, but I think overall it still feels like this is kind of like their V0.1 or something. I think there's still work to really make that model distillation process a lot smoother. Over and out.